Is there such thing as the perfect steak? Well, turns out there's an exclusive group of highly trained steak cooking experts who converge annually at the Steak Cook-Off Association World Championship to see who can cook the perfect steak. But I'm gonna hunt to expose the truth.
You can't handle the truth!
Is the steak I cook in my backyard actually better than these competition steaks? Let's find out. First things first, let's talk about the meat. This right here is a whole rib roast. In the SCA competitions, ribeyes is what they use. Ribeyes are also often considered the best cut, so we're gonna slice this up. And these competition steaks are exactly 1 1/8 inches thick. And just like that, our entire rib roast is sliced up, and I put them in order of how they were sliced, which is kind of cool to see. Starting from here to here, we have all of the steaks on the chuck or shoulder side. And what you'll notice with steaks over here is that the cap muscle is massive. So that's gonna be this muscle right here, which is the most tender, most flavorful, and most expensive. And as we get closer to the back of the animal, you can see how that cap muscle really starts to get slim, and by the end of it, it's pretty much nothing at all. So steak cooking competition or not, always try to choose ribeyes with the biggest cap possible. Now the way SCA competitions work is that a whole bunch of steaks are on a table. All the competitors draw numbers. They have to go out and choose whichever steak they want. And this is my first issue with this type of competition. The quality of steak between, for example, this one and this one is drastically different. So a lot of this comes down to luck. And specifically, this is the exact steak we want. Now, full disclosure, I have never competed in one of these SCA competitions. However, I've done my research. This is why we want this steak. You can see how we have the eye, that spinalis or cap, but we also have this little guy here, which is the complexus. And notice the size. It is pretty much the exact size of a nickel, which per my research is the ideal steak. So this will be our competition steak process. And for our backyard competitor, I'm just gonna choose this steak right here. I'm gonna start by seasoning it. This is just your standard salt, pepper, garlic based rub. And what you'll notice is that I really didn't do any trimming at all. Like, I kinda like those extra fatty, charred bits, especially if I'm just cooking for myself. I just find it unnecessary. And for our backyard ribeye, literally as easy as it gets, throw it on a rack, let it hang out in the fridge to dry brown. So you saw how easy it was to trim and season our regular backyard steak. Now we're gonna get into the process for an SCA competition steak, and it is completely different. First up, there is a lot of trimming to be done. This whole fatty tail area, we're gonna completely remove. Now me personally, I think fat is flavor. Kinda hurts me to have to slice off all this fat. Even along the spinalis here, you wanna get this all removed. Even that flap right there, it's gotta go. We're at a point now where our steak is substantially smaller and quite trimmed up. In SCA competition, we'll have judges tasting this steak, and they're only taking a couple bites from that spinalis section. And what we want to ensure is that the bites they get are as perfect as possible, so we're actually going to do quite a bit more trimming from here. So what we'll do is actually make a pretty aggressive cut right here. And just like that, we've gone from this to this. A big, raggedy, but pretty nice looking ribeye into this petite, cute little trimmed up SCA steak. But the madness when it comes to prepping this SCA steak has only just gotten started. The next step is to add our toothpicks. And the idea here is that we want the most photogenic steak possible. And this to me just feels like we're overdoing it. You know, part of the fun, in my opinion, of cooking a steak is the simplicity of it. Now we'll need some butcher's twine, and we're just gonna tie up our steak. Once again, the whole point here is to keep it as circular as possible. With our steak tied up, believe it or not, the next step, we are going to mechanically tenderize it.
Huh?
In my opinion, a ribeye is already tender enough, but this is competition steak cooking, and we want our judges to have the best bite possible. But we're just adding some stabs in here, which is gonna help our marinade and tenderizer seep through.
But apparently, I've been stabbed.
Whoa! The next step, we are actually going to marinate our steak in a tenderizing liquid. 15 minutes on the first side, then we'll flip, and 15 more minutes. With our steaks marinating, I am extremely excited to share that at Max Jerky, we have some new products. We of course have our 4 classic flavors that you all know and love, but we also recently launched our Kansas City Sweet Heat beef sticks, along with my personal favorite, the Sichuan Chili Crisp beef jerky. I have to say I am super pumped about how these new products came out. And if you've ever been interested in supporting our channel, Max Jerky is the best way to do it. But with that, let's get back to the video. The full 30 minutes is up. We'll remove our steak. We have finally reached the point where it is time to season. Believe it or not, we're actually gonna be using a binder. Very common in SCA competitions. What I'm using today is some W sauce, by far my favorite Worcestershire sauce. We're gonna add a very thin layer. And I have to say, we're gonna be going pretty crazy on the seasoning. We'll start here with a kind of salt and pepper based rub that does have some MSG for a little extra pop. This next layer is a rub that actually has just a touch of sugar in it. And finally, a slightly more coarse traditional steak rub, a lot of black pepper in there. And what you'll notice is I'm actually going heavier on the cap, which is that area that the judges are gonna be tasting. We wanna keep the eye a little less seasoned for better presentation. We'll flip, do the same thing on the other side. I am just gonna hit the sides a little bit as well. Now we're gonna be cooking this over charcoal. We're actually gonna be using these guys right here, which are grill grates. Now this is probably my biggest bone to pick when it comes to competition steak. The focus is primarily on the visual element. These grill grates give you beautiful looking grill marks. However, it is at the expense of a perfect crust. So as you can see, two wildly different looking steaks, though they both started the exact same way. Time to get them both on the grill. To get the perfect grill marks, we'll need to carefully lay down the steak on our hot grill grates, running at about 550 Fahrenheit with a weight on top. You can see how my steak stuck slightly on the first flip here, but we quickly improved. Change the angle for that nice crisscross pattern, letting it cook for exactly 1 minute per angle, meaning 2 minutes per side. And you can see how gentle I was with the steak, doing my best to get those nice grill marks. When it comes to the SCA, presentation is key. Once all my grill marks were set, I moved the steak to the cool side of the grill and let it come up to about 135 Fahrenheit internal, shooting for a medium doneness on the steak. Next up, the backyard ribeye. No funny business when it came to this steak. All I did was let the charcoal do the work, flipping every once in a while. Yes, the cap started to separate. Yes, some parts got a little too crispy, at least visually, but hey, this is the way I love cooking my steaks. And just like that, both of our steaks are done. And as you can see, these ribeyes could not look more different. First and foremost, the crusts are completely different. On our backyard steak, we have tons of crunchy bits, and it's a pretty consistent overall sear. Compare that to our SCA steak, and of course we have those beautiful dark grill marks, and it overall looks super symmetrical. But the issue that I've always had with this type of steak, at least visually, yes, we have those beautiful grill marks, but look in between there. There's pretty much zero sear in those squares. If this was a legit SCA competition, we'd present our steak sort of like this, box it up, and off to the judges. Now the next step in the judging phase would first be to slice this. Let's see how we did on that internal temp. And as you can see, we pretty much perfectly nailed that medium internal temp. You actually do want to have a slight gray band over the top with a rosy pink interior. I'd say that's pretty good. And now let's get into our backyard steak. The most important thing to me is that super consistent crust we developed all throughout. Dry brining it helped, but also continuously flipping. And in terms of internal temp, I think this is a pretty fair comparison, both right around medium. And the only thing left to do is taste. We are joined by Kyle and Sophia. Welcome, both of you.
Thanks for having us.
Hey.
Let's dig in. We're only gonna be tasting the cap muscles of each, starting off with our regular backyard steak. Kyle, there you go. Big piece or small piece?
Little guy.
Little guy, all right.
Little guy, huh?
Steak number one, traditional backyard ribeye.
Classic.
So good.
It's just the best, really. The crunch, the flavor, it's the cap of a ribeye. You can't go wrong.
You get that char, just that classic seasoning. It's great.
Perfect. Super tender also.
Tough to beat. Moving on to our, I don't know if I should call it a Frankensteak or what, but we did a lot to this to hopefully make it taste amazing.
Just looks like a perfect cartoon steak.
All right, time to find out which one's better. Let's do it.
Cheers.
Cheers.
It's juicy.
Very juicy.
Ton of flavor in there, but I don't get much crust.
You miss that char flavor you get from traditionally cooking over charcoal, but I can't lie, the flavor on that is out of control. Though personally, it's almost like too much flavor. I don't know if I could eat that whole steak.
I agree. I think the crust is the most important part of the steak, and it's kind of missing that.
Right, I think we're a household that appreciates simplicity. We did so much to this steak to make it taste and look the way it did. Scientifically, it visually and for one bite is probably the perfect steak, but at the end of the day, we gotta go with Old Faithful. All right, well, there it is, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to check out Max Jerky. We have tons of incredible new products and flavors. Hope you love them, and we'll see you next time.